Every creator coach on the internet will tell you just to be yourself on camera. I'm afraid they're wrong. And if you're over 40, that advice isn't just unhelpful, it's costing you an audience. So in this video, I'm going to show you the two versions of yourself your viewers will actually want to connect with, and why the version you're currently filming just isn't one of them. Now, before I show you this, you might be wondering, who on earth is this guy and why should I listen to him? And you know what? That is a fair question. And a detective always shows his evidence. Now, I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and content creators over the last 13 years through my Courage Before Confidence training. You know, getting people over 40 camera ready in 30 days or less. Every single one of them went on to make videos 10 times better than anything they'd done before. You'll see Tony around here right now. He went from barely able to look at a camera to completely unrecognizable in 29 days. And it's not because he learned any tricks, it's because he found the right version of himself to film. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Oh, and if you want to have a look at Courage Before Confidence for yourself, there'll be a link in the description below. Now, think about the last time you pressed record. What happened? Did you sit up a little bit straighter? Did your smile go up a notch? Did your voice shift slightly just to be more, I don't know, presenter-ish? Did you do something like, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you, in a way that sounds absolutely nothing like you would normally talk to your best friend? Does that sound familiar? Because here's what just happened. You performed. You performed the version of yourself that you think the camera wants to see. You know, that polished version, the professional version, the version that won't embarrass you by saying arse on camera. That one that won't say the wrong thing. You know, the one that won't look too old or too tired or too real. And you've been doing that performance your whole life. Since the day you figured out what the world, I don't know, expected of you. You see, it's been so long now that you think that is you, but it's not. And as I sit here right now, someone's just turned on a circular saw. So let's just go with it. You see, what you've been doing is called the settling script, and it's the most expensive thing that you'll ever bring to your YouTube channel. Now, if this is hitting home already, let me know in the comments. And if you're finding this useful, smash the like button, because it genuinely helps me get this information in front of more people like you. Now, I want to earn the right to, dare I say, teach you this. So let me be straight with you. When I started, I built a $5 grand a month business on YouTube with just 8,500 subscribers. Not 850,000, 8,500. And since then, it's tripled. The revenue, that is. And the single biggest unlock wasn't better lighting, it wasn't better equipment or better editing flow. It was the day that I stopped filming the settling script, that version of myself. You see, here's the thing that nobody talks about. When somebody says, just be yourself on camera, they mean well, but they have absolutely no bloody idea what they're asking you to do. Because which self? You see, if you're over 40, you've been in training for decades, trained by your employer on how to speak professionally, trained by your family on how to behave appropriately, by society, how to present yourself acceptably, by comparison, how to measure yourself against everybody else. I'm afraid you've been molded, shaped, trimmed even. And that molding, it didn't happen overnight. It happened one small compromise at a time. One, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Or one, I'd tone that down a bit. Or what about, that's really not appropriate for someone my age. And now, when you press record, you film the result of 40 years of editing who you really are. You film the careful version of yourself, the measured version, the version that has learned exactly what is and what isn't acceptable. And well, your audience, they can feel it. Not consciously, they can't kind of put their finger on it, but somewhere in the first 30 seconds, they get a sense of performance. And then they just scroll on by, not because you're boring, but because you're just not real. And in the world of AI, the world wants real. So let me say that again. It's not because you're boring, it's because you're just not being real with them. The settling script isn't you, it's the costume that you put on every time you think there's somebody watching. So here's the question that you need to answer before you press record ever again. And that is, which version of you are you going to film instead? Now, as you may be aware, I was once a detective, and a good detective doesn't leave you without evidence. Now, I've put a case file together. It's called the YouTube Myth Case File. It's a breakdown of the lies being told to creators over 40 and what the evidence actually shows. It shows the myth cracked open, the truth laid out. Just drop case file in the comments below and I'll personally get it over to you. I answer every comment, every single one of them. So let's get into these versions of you. The first version is the one that existed before the world got to you. You know, think about who you were at 12 years old as you became a teenager and found your voice. You know, you threw caution to the wind, you were unapologetically yourself, playful, curious, fearless about what you thought. You hadn't learned yet what you were supposed to do to tone it down. You hadn't learned that your enthusiasm was something to be managed, dare I say, and you hadn't learned that having a strong opinion might make someone feel uncomfortable. That version of you, it's not gone anywhere. They just got buried under 40 years of performance. Now, I'm not going to ask you to act like a child on camera. That would be ridiculous. But let me be very clear about something, okay? I'm asking you to access the energy of the person you were before the settling script took over. That directness, the honesty, the willingness to say the uncomfortable thing, the refusal to pretend. You see, your audience has spent 40 years watching people perform. They're bloody exhausted. They are desperate for someone who doesn't. That's version 1, the pre-script version. Let's talk about version 2. Version 2 is the person you're actively building towards, not who you've settled into, not this compromise, the person you're becoming in your second season of life, the version who has, say, already made the decision, already done some of the work, speaks from the future, not from the confusion. This version isn't aspirational, it's just actual. It exists in every decision you've already made about who you want to be in this chapter of your life. This is the version with the 5 to 10K month, the version who works 4 hours a day, the version who, I suppose, doesn't apologize for having opinions or for charging what they're worth. You see, when you film the sovereign version of yourself, something interesting happens. Your audience doesn't just watch a video, they see who they could become. And that is the most powerful content that you will ever make. So the question is, how do you actually access these two versions before you press that record button? Because knowing they exist and get in front of camera in the right headspace, well, those are two very different things. So here's what I do. 2 questions, 1 for each version. And I ask myself one of them before every single video. Question 1. What would the unfiltered version of me say about this? Not the polished answer, not the professional answer. The instinctive, no apologies, haven't been trained out of it answer. And look, here's what that sounds like in practice. You see something you disagree with. Say so. Screw the careful version, share your actual opinion. Because if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And your audience, they are starving for someone who will. Question 2, the sovereign version. How does the version of me who's already solved this problem explain it? Not where I am today, where I'm actually going. What does that version say? How does that version sit? What does that version talk? 1 question, 1 version, press record. Let me say that again. 1 version, 1 question, press record. Because here's the truth. The problem was never this camera, never the equipment, never the lighting, or your editing workflow. The problem was that you were bringing the wrong person to the recording. Now let me ask you something. How many years have you spent performing the settling script for the world? At work, at home, in every room where you thought you needed to be a certain kind of person. And here you are in your second season. with decades of real experience, real wisdom, real proof, real perspective. You're not starting from zero, you're starting from experience. The question isn't whether the camera is ready for you, it's whether you're ready to stop performing for it. Let me know in the comments, Prescript or Sovereign, which version are you going to film next? Like I said, I read every comment, every single one of them. You are the fuel for every video I make. And if you haven't already, drop the word case file below and I'll send you the evidence personally. And on that note, the next video is going to show you exactly how the Prescript and the Sovereign version make you money on YouTube. So check it out just here.